Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Tech Tintronics channel, where we're going to tinker and learn. Today's project is we're going to be doing some simple Excel work in terms of Excel forms. I'm going to create a simple form. Okay, what we have here to start, see if I can get this a little bit larger for us here, is we have a data entry form. And the purpose of this data entry form, ladies and gentlemen, is to take data that we enter into this form and then save it as raw data within this sheet. And then the whole idea is to clear the form after all the data has been entered. Just like that. So like if I enter any information, it's gonna do this. Just any old name, and I could put, you can name a password, answer a security question, and I could say, just paste these in so I could save a little time. And then when I hit save, ooh, all right, we have a range of method class failed. So we got to debug what it is already. I don't think we need it, to be honest with you. Beautiful. All right, so basically it saves our work like that, and then you'll see that it's in the form for as many times as I had to test for it. So we need this code here to help us. I'll explain what it does, and then we'll also need the clear code. Okay, so here we go. So in a nutshell, basically, this is what it does. We create the entry form. We store the data in a raw data sheet. We create the macros to save and clear. And there we have it. So with our new sheet, let's get it started. All right, so I'm gonna do sheet 1, sheet 2. We're gonna name this as raw data. Data entry. And the first thing that we should do is we should save this as a macro enabled workbook. Okay, we'll save it as an Excel macro enabled workbook. Save it as password 9.test. I'll blow it up a little bit so it makes it a little bit larger for we could work with it. And I'll take like several cells at the top row and we'll merge them by going to format. As a matter of fact, to make this a little bit better for us, let me get the pointer out. All right, so we'll just leave the protection alone, but we'll come back to that later. Anyway, we want to merge those cells at the top. We're going to call it account. Oops. Account. Maintenance. Then we could take this text, go back to our format cells. We could, maybe, as a matter of fact, I didn't want to do that quite yet. We could make the text light colored. You could do this any way you like. Any way is your preference. Here. All right, and a good thing to do is on our notepad, I'm gonna do the form entries. We're gonna need a URL. And so you see what I'm doing. I'll move this up here. That's not what I wanted to do. All right, so I'll move my notepad up here. What I'm doing is making a little cheat sheet to help us along. So we'll need a URL. We need a login. We'll need a password. Security questions. And we need that like 5 times. So make a little list of the fields that we're going to keep track of. Now this can actually apply to all types of different things. You could keep track of rocks. You could keep track of assets such as vehicles, computers, tools, devices, serial numbers, lot numbers, account numbers, anything you can imagine. All right. And then we'll line these up. We'll start up here and we'll make it simple. Put my URL there. Matter of fact, we'll just line this up like this. Everything in its field. So you can make this as simple as you want or as complex as you want. And you could use the fill series feature, make things a little bit faster for you. And these will be the fields. You could take these and you could line these up that way, and we could put colons to be consistent. The more linear your form is, the more, simple it is to execute and put this together. So like what I like to do is I'll take this, I'll merge it, format cells, merge. And we could take this, move this here if we want to, just to be consistent with the other design. Then I could delete that. And we'll have a cell for the login, cell for the password. And then we'll just do our security questions like this. And we'll copy that cell so that we don't have to go repeatedly merging cells. And it's real simple. And I like to use colors to help me figure out what I'm going to enter data into and what I'm not going to enter data into. So we want to select these cells, and the reason I'm selecting these cells, you'll see, is I just want to color them a different shade. You can make it any color you want. But I think I'll keep it simple. Kind of use the colors that I don't mind. You could put borders around these if you want. Let's see, I could fill that too to be consistent. Fill that one as well. And we have a simple form that we start with. Then we want to lay out the raw data. So I'll just copy into this real quick. Gotta get the clickies right. And you just drag it across like that several times, and it automatically increments the number for us. So then what I like to do is I like to say view developer, I like to freeze that top row if I can. Freeze panes, freeze top row. And this is where we're going to store our data. The tab that I've named it is raw data. So I have a data entry fill tab, and I have raw entry, raw data. Okay, now we're going to work with our code. So I'm going to go into Developer, Visual Basic, and we're going to need a module or two. So I'm going to start by create and insert module. And you can rename the module as you please. So we'll call this add record. And it will take what we have for our add record. I'll start small for us. Basically, we're gonna start the sub. And when we start the sub, of course, we have to end the sub. There are a few the variables that we would have to declare. It'll be next row is long, last row is long, x is integer, num rows is integer. Moving forward, we're going to say we're going to identify number of rows as sheets, raw data, range A, rows count up in row, XL up in row. Then we're going to do a little for loop to help us get from X to the number of rows. And we're going to use an if statement within this to help us determine if we have a duplicate entry. That's the whole purpose of this, is to check for duplicates. So I'm going to say if she, so what I like to do is I like to line these up a little bit. As a matter of fact, I'm going to paste what we need and modify it just to keep things going. So basically what we, after checking for duplicates, we move the data throughout the sheet using like an equation sort of type of function. And this is basically the number row, and this is the column. So I lined them up 1 through 8, and so it corresponds to 1 through 8. Now, we shouldn't have to modify this too much to make this work. But let's take a look. Now, the way I like to do it is I like to take this form. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make a little modification before somehow I got it all the way down there. If that happens, that's not a bad deal. We could delete and have everything where we need it to be. And then we're also going to need some buttons that will help us run these macros. So in design mode, well, you don't have to go into design mode, but you could click on insert. And we'll just make that button work for saving our record. And then we'll take this button, copy it, paste it, line it up, and we'll fix the text to say clear, to clear the form in case we didn't want to enter the data on it. All right, so we'll save our work as we go. And then here's the fun part, getting our codes lined up and everything. Making sure our macro, inspecting our code versus the sheet and seeing that our macro is going to work properly. All right, so sheet 1 is going to be raw data. Sheet 2 is our data entry. All right, what we need to do is we need to make sure that B3 is going to the right place. Then it's going to be B4. D4. And there's a pattern because I basically pulled this code from the other sheet, and there's a pattern that we have to adhere to in order to make it work for this sheet, because there's a little different. So I'm just updating these numbers as I go. And everything corresponds to what we have. Then we have to bring in this the clear form code. So where is it? And we can insert a module. We can edit the module's name here. We'll call it clear record. Sounds good to me. And we'll paste the code in there. Actually, let's grab the code. Basically, it's a real simple code that's gonna basically say that these cells in our table are gonna equal nothing. So we'll just follow the pattern. Oops. And you can see what's going on here as I'm putting these in. I'm paying close attention over here. And you have to be very careful because you can mess up your sheet, but it's not something that you can't fix. And I think that does it for that. So we could try something. Let's see. Oh, and one more thing. If you want tab behavior and you don't want to, because right now, as you see, if I hit tab, it's going to take me over there when I really want to go down there. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the cells that we plan on enter data into. There's 8 of them. We're going to format cells, and by default, all the cells will be locked. So one of the things that we want to do is we want to use this to unlock those cells. And then when we protect the sheet, let's say that we go to protect the sheet, you have to protect the sheet. So we won't make it. So I'll take the option to select lock cells. And we'll just say this password is ACCT. ACCT. Or better yet, just make it 389. Or a password of your choice. Okay, so what happens now, when I tab, without any code or anything like that, I get to where I'm going. So without further ado, and it takes me right back. And so I'll just say, security question 1, test, test 2, test 3, test 4, test 5, and save. It saves our data. We go there. Everything that I typed in has been saved over here for our retrieval. And how you would do that, you can, there's all kinds of things you can do with Excel, but for the scope of this lesson, we just wanted a basic form. Now, the one thing about this basic form that you'll notice is we did not use the insert, and we didn't use, the user form, because I find the basic Excel form using the cells itself as formed makes entering data fairly easy. So that's what we have in a nutshell. I want to know if the clear form works. So I want to create some data. So I'm going to say HTTP LMNOP and say that we get halfway through it and we just want to clear a form. That code works. That's no problem. It clears the form in the fields that we want it to and works as predicted. So in due time, if you guys need this example, let me know and then I will put it on my Google Drive. If anything else, click the thumbs up if you like the video. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, feel free to subscribe to the channel and share the video with a friend and pass along the good information. And thanks for watching, but before we go, visit all my links to find out more. Thank you and have a great day.